Kate?
Also breaking overnight, Ukraine's prime minister sounding the alarm, claiming Russia wants to start World War III. His words. Moscow is adding to the tension this morning, going ahead with military drills just outside Ukraine's border. And now President Obama says he will talk with European leaders about leveling more sanctions against Russia. Senior international correspondent Nick Payton-Walsh is in Ukraine. Of course, the question is, will any of that have an impact and change the direction of things on the ground where you are, Nick?
Kate, a very tense morning here. We've heard from the Ukrainian government that they want to start what they call the second phase of their security operation against one of the key towns where pro-Russian militants and rebels have launched unrest by surrounding it, blocking entrances in and out. And also today, 2 reports of explosions, one in the far west of the country, Odessa, at a police checkpoint, no injuries there, and another seemingly taking out a helicopter at an airfield that Ukrainian troops have taken back from pro-Russian protesters. We're not sure if that was an attack or a technical fault, but still these continued reports of violence keep everybody very worried.
Tensions flaring in Ukraine as the region teeters on the brink of war. Bloody, fiery clashes erupting as the Ukrainian military moves to reclaim cities taken by pro-Russian militants, killing 5 of them, they say, and destroying 3 checkpoints around the eastern town of Slavyansk. Russian President Vladimir Putin seizing on the Ukrainian military action as a direct threat to Russia, warning of immediate consequences, saying, quote, if the Kiev regime has started to use the army against the population inside the country, it is a very serious crime.
Russian citizens being attacked is an attack against the Russian Federation.
Russia's response was swift, conducting new military drills for its 40,000 troops positioned along the eastern Ukrainian border, moving tanks into place and testing jet fighters to overcome enemy missile defense. Running out of patience, the Ukrainian president insists that Russia retreat and end what he calls its blackmail. Ukraine remains a country divided, with those in the east carrying a strong allegiance to Russia. The war of words between the US and Russia growing increasingly intense. Secretary of State John Kerry accusing Russia of distraction, deception and destabilization in the region.
If Russia continues in this direction, it will not just be a grave mistake, it will be an expensive mistake.
New US sanctions against Russia could come as early as today if Putin refuses to de-escalate the situation. US forces on the ground in Eastern Europe holding military exercises of their own to counter the threat from Russia. These paratroopers are the first of 600 soldiers deployed in Poland, Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia, all NATO allies, all nervous about where Russia could strike next.
Now, when the Ukrainian Prime Minister says Russia's trying to start World War III, that's of course rhetoric, but on all sides that talk is heating up out of proportion in many ways, and it's because of how geopolitically tense and important what's happening here is. The unrest is in small, isolated towns, often not involving huge numbers of people, but it's the possibility for it drawing Russian troops across the border and the consequences that would have for NATO that make this so vital. Back to you, Chris.
But of course, we have to expect the rhetoric to grow more inflammatory as this situation fails to be resolved in any way, right, Nick? And that's why we're going to be watching it so carefully. And the question will remain, can the U.S. make Russia do anything in this situation? Will the president's planned sanctions make a difference? Let's get to CNN's Michelle Kosinski. She's traveling with the president live in Seoul. What's the latest?
Hi, Chris. Well, this has been an extremely busy trip for President Obama. This is supposed to be about firming up trade ties and strong relationships with allies here in Asia. But inevitably, the Ukraine situation comes up again as it develops. And yeah, we've been talking about sanctions now for many days. The administration using phrases like, we'll watch and wait, see in coming days, through the weekend, but that weekend has come and gone. So the question has been, when will these sanctions happen? And yeah, do they do any good? Can they change behaviors? What we've heard from President Obama now repeatedly is that no, it won't necessarily, as he put it, change the calculus of the Russian president in that area. But the administration Blinken has really been focused on the long term, isolating Russia. Now we find out that tonight, after meeting with South Korea, the president will get on the phone with the leaders of 4 European countries, the UK, Germany, France, and Italy, and talk about Ukraine. That could indicate that these sanctions that have been ready to go for a while now could indeed be coming any time at all. But in the same sense that we've been talking about Russia, we've heard President Obama now speak about North Korea, because of course in this region, that is the biggest security threat. And he used some strong language today, saying that the U.S. and South Korea stand shoulder to shoulder against continued North Korean provocation and threats, and that, interestingly, there might be some additional pressure that bites, as he put it, coming against North Korea. Michaela?
All right, Michelle, we also know that the president made comments offering condolences to the passengers that were lost in the South Korea ferry accident there. All right, let's take a look at more of your headlines now.